Alrighty guys, lesson 18 here. This one, I'm not trying to scare you with this one. I'm not really trying to scare you at all with this particular lesson. I just want to get this out there so you understand, sometimes the tricks your mind can play on you, okay? So basically, there's a lot of addictions out there. You can get into a lot of things that are addictive, okay? Gambling, drugs, alcohol, energy drinks, caffeine. Like, there's a lot of stuff that we all are aware of that are addictive things, okay? That you can get into and it becomes addiction, and it's not good for you, generally speaking, right? Stock market can absolutely be a very addictive place, okay? You can become very addicted, and I'm going to kind of explain to you some of the pitfalls that you kind of want to avoid in, because as someone that's been in the market for 10 years, I've had some stock market addiction here and there. I have. And sometimes that can negatively affect you, okay? It can be a very addictive place that, can change you a bit. And sometimes those changes are not for the better, unfortunately. The majority of the time, it is for the better, but sometimes it is for the worse, okay? And so I want to kind of get into this. And once again, it's not to scare you. I just want you to be aware, because if you're aware of it, then it's less likely to happen to you where things get really bad, okay? So the first thing I kind of think of when I'm thinking of, like, how the stock market can be addictive is I think about, like, when you put money in a stock and just, like, immediately it shoots up a bunch for whatever reason. Maybe you just got lucky and, happen to put some money in a company, right? You put $1,000, $10,000, whatever, and for whatever reason, like within a week or a few days, like it shoots up 20% or whatever, and you made all this money. Like, right off the bat there, I always think, like, that can be very addictive thing, right? When you just make that money real quick, it's almost like going to the strip and you happen to put some money in a slot machine and you just made money. Like, that could be pretty addictive, and it can almost seem like too easy, right? I remember actually when my friend got in, I have a very close friend that I actually taught the whole stock market to, and basically his first actual investment was in a company named iRobot. He knew I owned this iRobot stock, and we were talking on the phone. I'm like, yeah, I own this stock. They report numbers after the bell. And he's like, oh, you do? I'm going to put some money in that. I was like, oh, okay, but they're reporting numbers this afternoon. Well, sure enough, the stock goes up, okay? So I do awesome on my position. Stock went up 20% in a day, okay? This was his very first investment he ever made, okay? So he made 20% on his money in literally less than 24 hours. And so that can be pretty addictive, right? And he was like, oh my gosh, I can make all this money so short term. Like, that's scary, guys. That's really scary. That's a very scary thing that can happen to you, and that can kind of, bring some addiction on, where you're just like, you're always chasing that quick money from then on, you're just always chasing that quick money. How can I get that thrill again of, oh my gosh, I made 20% in a day just by investing in the stock yesterday and it goes up 20%. How can I do that? And I got into this a bit with earnings, okay? I got into this a bit with earnings because, like I said, sometimes I would know kind of like if companies were going to beat earnings or whatnot. And so a few times I played earnings and I made some money. And, when you make $10,000, $20,000 in a day playing in earnings, right? It's kind of addictive, guys. That's kind of addictive, okay? And you almost start kind of feeling like you need to do that, okay? And then you start trying to chase gains, and then you all of a sudden you miss an earnings. Then you try to play one that it just leads you down a bad track, okay? It leads you down a bad track, no different than a drug will do, an alcohol will do, and you start making decisions that you don't really want to do, okay? Also, another big thing. And this one's huge. This one's really big, guys, because this could affect your life very negatively if you let this happen to you. And basically it has to do, if your stocks go down and you're treating people around you differently, it's not for you. You shouldn't be in the stock market. In my opinion, if you're treating people around you, family members, close friends and whatnot, differently on a day when your stocks go up than a day when your stocks go down, I don't think you should be in this game, okay? You really gotta have a cool head. You gotta really, not let those emotions of whatever's going on with your stocks in that day affect your judgment on how you treat others, okay? It's a really bad thing, and I've seen it time and time again with people in the stock market where when their stocks are going up, they're so excited, they feel so good, they treat everybody so good, they want to do everything for everybody, and it's just awesome, okay? And I've seen it where people's stocks are down on a particular day, or the market's having a tough day, one of their stocks reported bad numbers or whatever, and they will treat people bad. They'll be very short with people, they had a temper with people, they're just treating people bad based upon what's going on with their stock portfolio on that day, okay? You probably got a little bit of stock market addiction. If you are treating people much differently who are close to you in real life, if you're treating them differently based upon a day when your stocks are up versus down, you probably got stock market addiction. You probably do, and that's not a good thing, okay? Because then what are you? You're pretty much just a junkie at that point. Sorry to say, you're just a junkie at that point. You're just like a drug addict or an alcoholic or something. If you're treating people differently just because, you know, your stocks went up or down, like that's not good, guys. You need to be level-headed in this game. It doesn't matter if you made $100,000 yesterday or lost $100,000. The way you treat others around you, it should be the same, okay? It should be the same. You shouldn't treat somebody differently because you made money or lost money yesterday or today. That should not matter, guys. So that's something I always try really hard to do, is I try to treat people the same, no matter whether I made money that day or lost money that day. I try to treat people the same each and every day, and that's just a way you should be as a human. But you got to realize you could have, you know, slight stock market addiction creep in if you are starting to treat people that way. So kind of be aware of that self. Have some self-awareness on, you know, a day when you have a really bad day. Are you treating people differently? Like, just kind of view it that way. And as long as you're aware of it, it's probably not going to happen to you. The people that it generally happens to are people that are not aware of it. They don't realize what's going on, and, you know, they don't realize that, man, they're treating people like, you know, like they're dirt when their stocks are down, and man, when their stocks are up, they just, you know, want to be everybody's best friend. Okay, guys? So that is lesson 18. Once again, not trying to scare you at all. I just want you to be aware of it. Stock market addiction can be a real thing, guys. And a lot of people, like, if you're looking at your stocks, if you're a long-term investor and you're looking at your stocks 10, 20, 30 times a day, I got some questions for you. Are you creeping into a little bit of stock market addiction? You're investing in companies in the long term. Why do you need to look at your stocks 10, 20, 30 times a day? Why? What is the point? Is 1 or 2 times not enough? Like, you don't even really need it. If you're in that stock for the long term, you don't really need to look at it even more than once in a day, right? So why, unless you happen to buy shares that day, like, why do you keep looking at stocks 10, 20, 30 times a day? I had that happen to me, guys. I had to check stocks 30, 40, 50 times in a day. The stock market's only open for what, 7 hours or so? And I'm checking stock prices 30, 40, 50 plus times a day? That's sick, guys. That's sick. That's stock market addiction. You're a long-term investor and you're checking your stock prices 30, 40, 50 times a day? It's not good, guys. You got a stock market addiction at that point. You got some real issues there. So I want you guys to be aware of this, and, you know, just trying to be aware of it, fight it off, and make sure you're treating people good regardless of what's going on in your stock. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this lesson. It's just a vital one that I've experienced over the course of a decade, and one pretty much no one ever talks about. Let's be completely honest, guys. All right, guys, let's get into lesson number 19.